What's up guys, I'm Stavis, welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how to construct spread triads on the neck of the guitar that you can use to become more creative in your playing. Now let's get into it. In a previous lesson, which will be linked here, I discussed how to create major and minor triads on the neck of the guitar. Now if you haven't checked out that lesson, I suggest you do before continuing. Now the types of triads that I covered in that video are called closed voice triads, and essentially it means that the notes are close together. The example I will use is G major in root position, which was 5 on the D, 4 on the G, and 3 on the B. So as you can see, all those notes are adjacent to each other, closed voice. With spread triads, as the name would suggest, the notes are spread further apart. Now there's a few ways to create them, but the ones we're going to be doing today takes the third note and pushes it up an octave. We're going to be working in the key of C major today, so we don't have to deal with any sharps or flats, and any of the theory I do get into will be easy to follow. So if we take a C major triad, 3 on the A string, 2 on the D string, and an open G, that's a C major triad. We take the third, which is this E note, and we move it up an octave, which is to the 5th fret of the B string. So instead of this, instead of having that open G string, we're going to move that open G to the 5th fret of D, which is the same note. So now our spread triad is root, so 3 on the A string, 5 on the D string, and 5 on the B string. And that's our first spread triad. It's really that easy. Now before I continue, I do need to discuss a tiny amount of music theory. And it's nothing too heavy, it's just in relation to the major scale, how we space the notes out within it, so they're intervals, and which chords go where, so the chord formula. So on screen now is the interval formula, which we see as tone, tone, semitone, tone, 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 semitone. Now on a guitar, a tone is the distance between two frets, so say the 3rd fret to the 5th fret, so C to D, that's a tone. From the 3rd fret to the 4th fret, C to C sharp, that's a semitone. So what this formula tells us is how to space our notes out. Now I'm going to be working in C major today, so we don't have to worry about sharps or flats, it's just the alphabetical letters. So we go C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, and then the whole thing starts again. So if we try input this formula, so we've got C, a tone jump to the next note, D, a tone jump to the next note, E, a semitone jump to the next note, F, a tone to the next note, a tone to the next note, a tone to the next note, which is the B, and then a semitone away from the C. And that's our major scale. C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Okay? Now within that, each chord has a different quality. We have major chords, we have minor chords, and we have one diminished chord. Now I never covered diminished chords in the last lesson, but if you remember the formula for a major chord, it goes root, 3rd, 5th. Our minor chord has a flattened 3rd, so it goes root, flat 3rd, 5th. And the diminished just takes the minor shape an extra bit further, and it goes root, flat 3rd, flat 5th. So those are the formulas for the chords we'll be working with today. The chord formula dictates which major and minor chords go where and which diminished chord goes where. And that's going to be on screen now, and it goes major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished. So in the case of C major, which we'll be working today, we've got C major, D minor, E minor, F major, G major, A minor, B diminished, and then back to C before we start all over again. I'm going to be using 3 different string sets to construct these triads, and what that's going to do is it's going to give you all of the spread triads within C major all over the neck. Now it's pretty comprehensive, but it's actually quite easy to pick up. Now I'm going to be using what I'm calling the E set, the A set, and the D set. If a root note of the chord falls on an E string, it's part of the E set. If the root is on the A, it's part of the A set, and if it's on the D, it's part of the D set. For the purposes of not getting too complicated in this video, I'm not going to be dealing with the inversions of these triads. We're going to be sticking with the root inversions only. Okay? Now what that means is we only have 5 shapes to contend with. Now the great thing about that is that the A set and the D set shapes are exactly the same. So what is major on the A set is the exact same shape on the D set. and the E set is the only one that has two different shapes. Okay, so let's get into those shapes right now. Because I'm working in C major today, I'm going to start on the A set. I'm going to start on the C major on the 3rd fret of the A set. Now the reason for that is we can see how all the chords are laid out using our chord formula from C to C. Now if you remember the example I showed earlier on how to spread the triads, we had 3 on the A, 5 on the D, and 5 on the B. So our 3rd is now an octave higher than where it would have been. So that's our first shape. That's C major. Now if you remember from our triad formula, to make that minor, we flatten the 3rd. Now the 3rd is under my baby finger, so we move that down from the 5th fret to the 4th fret. So now you have 3 on the A, 5 on the D, 4 on the B. That's very sad. Major, minor. Okay? And if you remember from our formula for diminished, to make diminished, we flatten the 5. Now the 5 is now under my ring finger, so I move that to a 4th fret, which is sad and dark. Darkness. Okay, so major 3 5 5, minor 3 5 4, diminished 3 4 4, and that's 3 of the 5 shapes. Now, if I shift those exact fingerings down to the D set, so I'm going to start on the 3rd fret of the D, so I'm still going from here to here. So it's going to be F because our root note is now an F, but that's F major, exact same fingerings. To make minor, I flatten the 3rd, and the 3rd is under my ring finger again, or my baby finger, excuse me. That's F minor, which is also sad. And to make our diminished chord, we flatten the 5, so we end up with 3 4 4 again, which is sad and dark, in a different key. So major, minor, diminished. Okay, so that's how you can apply the same shapes to the A set and the D set. Now I'm going to move down to the E set now because there's 2 more shapes that I need to cover. Now here's a little trick. If we go and take our C minor shape, so 3 5 4, and keep the same pattern, same arrangement of notes, and shift it to the E set. So we're just moving up 1 string. So now we have 3 5 4. When you play that shape on the E set, it's actually a major triad. So minor on the A set is the same as major on the E set. Okay? Now if we take that major and flatten the 3rd, which is under my middle finger now, I get 3 5 3. That is very sad. It's G minor. So G major, G minor. And the same formula applies to how we make our diminished. We flatten our 5. So we take our minor shape and we get our 5, which is under my ring finger, and I slide it down 1 fret. So I get 3 4 3. That is really dark. Okay, so major, minor, darkness. And that's all the shapes. Easy, right? Now let's apply it to our C major scale. So we're going to go back to the A set and work through them. From our chord formula, we know the first chord is major, C major. So 3 5 5. We know we have to go up a tone to our next chord, which is D, and the chord formula dictates that it's D minor, so. Okay, for the next chord we move up a tone, we keep that exact same finger arrangement and move up a tone. For the next one, we move up a semitone and we use a major shape. For the 5th chord, we move up a tone, that exact same finger arrangement, to G major. Okay, up a tone to the next one, and the next one is A minor. Okay, and the last one then is the B diminished, so we go up a tone and play the diminished shape, so. Okay, let's go through them slowly up to the top. We can come back down with that. And if we were to continue that that to the open string, we'd have a B diminished, and then an A minor. I'm going to go to the D set now, and the reason for that is it's the second note from C major, and it also means we get to use the exact same shapes again. So if we go to our D, which we now know is minor from the chord formula, we use our minor shape, 0, 2, 1. And how we progress through our formula from our chord formula, where it went major, minor, minor, major, major, minor, diminished, we just use the exact same pattern, but now we start on the 2. So we go from 2 to 2 as opposed from 1 to 1. So we go D minor, we move that up a tone to E minor, up a semitone to F, up a tone to G, up a tone to A minor, up a tone to B diminished, and up a semitone to C major. And then if we want to finish out that octave, we go back to D minor. Okay, so that goes. Now when you get to the 12th fret, the exact same pattern repeats again. We're going to go to our E set now, and E is the third of our major scale, and the third chord is minor. So we start on an E minor, and we continue through the chord formula from the third to the third. So we've got E minor, up a semitone to F major shape, that shape up a tone to G major, then that up a tone to our A minor shape, then B diminished, up a semitone to our C major, up a tone to our D minor, and then up a tone again to our E minor. So let's play through those again. You can already hear how musical they can be. And it's a great way to become a little bit more melodic in your playing when you're using these chords. Now there will be a demonstration later where I incorporate a lot of these different shapes in different areas of the neck to have a little study piece for you to learn. Something that's going to aid your ability to stitch these different areas of the neck together and move through your chords in a melodic way is knowing what notes are on either side of the notes that you're fretting. Now for example, today we're going to look at the 5th and the 3rd and what notes are on either side of that. Now we're looking today for diatonic notes, and what that means is notes that belong to a key. So in C major we've no sharps or flats, we've just got C, D, E, F, G, A, B. If we have say a D sharp, the D sharp is non-diatonic, it doesn't belong there. But if you have a D, plain old D, that's diatonic. So we're only going to be looking at diatonics today because it's a little easier to get a hold of and it's not too heavy a concept. So notes within a key are given a number. The root is 1 and then they follow sequentially. 2D, 3E, 4F, 5G, 6A, 7B. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and then back to 1. This is our 5th. So we're going to go with this A set C shape we discussed earlier. We're going to look for the note before this, which is the 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So instead of 3, 5, 5, now we're going to go 3, 3, 5. And that's a C add 11. If we take the note that comes after the 5, which is the 6, that's a C6 or C major 6 because we have the 6th note on top of our C major. So we have our root, we have our major 3rd, and we have our 6th. So we have C add 11, C, and then C6. Now we're going to have a look at our 3rd. So diatonic notes on either side of our 3rd are the 4th, so it's exactly a semitone up. And that's a sus4, C sus4. And what that means, if you've ever seen it written, the mystery is it replaces the 3rd. If you see a sus chord, it's replaced the 3rd with either the 4th or the 2nd. And in this instance, we've replaced it with the fourth. So root, fifth, fourth. And you'll notice it just wants to pull back down. It wants to resolve back to the root. And if we replace the 3 with the 2, so we've got 3, 5, 3 on the B, that's C sus 2. And you'll notice that that wants to resolve up. So as you can see from the demonstration, just by moving one note within a chord, you change the feel, you can change the sound, and it also helps you start moving the chords in the direction you want to go. So you can move from a C6. Now you've already got this note here, which is the 5th note of our D shape. So if we move our D minor shape, so if we move from this C6, we keep that note the same. So you can use it as a means to introduce the next chord that you're going to use. Now you might have recognized the sound of the C major 6 spread triad shape. The first time I ever came across it was in Guitar Hero 3 when I heard Cliffs of Dover by Eric Johnson. Now he uses spread triads super effectively right throughout his playing, and if you're familiar with Cliffs of Dover, in the intro he uses these spread triads. So as you can see, he's used the major 6, moved that up a tone, used the D major 6. He's moved to the next chord by using a little melodic idea, and he ends up on the G major 6. Now, that song's in G major, so that's the 1, and he's going to go 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's going to go minor, minor, major, major. So that's our 5, and then he gets back to the G, which is the 1. I've put together this next piece to demonstrate how you can apply the concepts we've discussed in this video and the different chord shapes, as well as the notes that are adjacent to the notes that you're fretting, to move the piece around and make something that's melodic and creative. Now everything I use is in the key of C, except the last 2 chords. They're borrowed chords, but that's something for a different video entirely. Well, that concludes my lesson on the introduction to spread triads. Now I hope you have fun with it. I know there's a lot to unpack, but hopefully it brings a new level of creativity to your playing. If you've enjoyed this video, please hit that like button. If you're new here, hit that subscribe button. Don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss out on future content. Thank you for watching, happy noodling, and I'll see you on the next one.